Hey everyone, welcome to our first screencast on the early childhood teacher. I have a few notes off to the side, so if I look down frequently, it's because I don't want to forget to tell you anything that I think is important about this first unit. So what do you think of when you picture teacher? What comes to mind? Do you think of a person standing in front of a room with her hair up in a bun, giving lectures? Do you think about someone who walks around and facilitates group work? What happens in your mind when you think about teacher? I think for many of us, when we think about teacher, we tend to think to our high school or middle school, maybe even elementary school teachers, but many of us don't have a lot of memories from when we were preschoolers ourselves and what a teacher looked like then and what she did. As you know from experience or from reading or from watching others, it can be very different to be an early childhood teacher than a teacher of someone in higher education or in older ages. So I want you to think about a teacher, and even if a teacher is a lecture style teacher in your mind, what is this teacher doing, he or she, that really engages the students? So I asked you to read the book narrated by Alison Thelke, who is the Front Range online chair. And she read Miss Tizzy. And I wonder what your thoughts are. Is Miss Tizzy a teacher? You could say, no, she doesn't run a preschool. You know, she didn't have that formal title. But a lot of the characteristics about Miss Tizzy make her the best teacher. You know, we often say that a parent is a child's first and most important teacher. And I would say that Tizzy may not be these children's first, but she's a very, very important teacher. She really engages these children in a way that shows them her love and her care. She opens their eyes up to the world. She's really with them on every step along the way. So in your textbook on pages 30 to 31, Lillian Katz talks about the stages of teacher professional development. And I find in these classes that everyone's in sort of a different place. Some people are really new to the field and they're in survival mode, while others may be in stage 2 or stage 3 or even stage 4 of their career. And I want to be clear that this doesn't always have to be linear. You don't necessarily start at survival and end at maturity. There are times where you might go back and forth between these. So you can read these slides. It gives you more in-depth detail. But I really want you to think about survival really being, tell me what to do, tell me exactly how to do it, tell me what a teacher looks like. To consolidation, where the teacher starts to really think about how they can adapt their teaching, adapt their style towards what children need. This is a phase where people are really ready for some coaching and mentoring. Stage 3 is renewal, where we can kind of get stuck in a rut and we need some new experiences to excite us, whether it's new curriculum materials, new possibilities in the classroom. This is a place where professional development can be really important. Maybe some of you are taking this class because you are in this renewal phase. Some of you might be taking this class because you have to, and you can find some renewal from that. Going to conferences can be a place, seeking out online training materials. Lots of different ways to get into renewal, but you can either get stuck and need renewal, or you can get to renewal and have this new lease on your teaching life. And then maturity is where you can really bring your skills and expertise to many other people in the field. These people are often advocates. They are often going out and speaking on behalf of children and families, getting out into the world, teaching classes, etc. I'm sorry, I just want to check my notes real quick to make sure I don't miss anything. So this leads us into what are the qualities and characteristics of a good teacher. And I want you to think about what are the things that you see in other teachers that make you go, wow, they're a really good teacher? Well, what are the things that you see in yourself that you really like in your teaching? I know for myself, one of my favorite things to look for in a teacher is that love of being with children, just that excitement that as children are in the classroom and they're exploring and they're finding out new things, that person is just as excited, like it's as new to them as it is to the children. That's a quality that I look for. You may have some others that you look for. So I'd like you to think about the qualities that you think of that are a good teacher. And then you can jot those down if you want, or you can just kind of hold them in your mind. But it's also referenced here in our D2L shell that there's a link to an article about the 12 characteristics of effective early childhood teachers. And you can see that there's passion and there's flexibility and there's authenticity and that love of learning that I just talked about, that getting so excited to learn alongside the children. And I'm sure you can think about how these are all really important with children and how they can balance each other out. You know, I look at perseverance and I think, yeah, you really have to have a lot of perseverance, because sometimes you're dealing with the same struggles day after day after day, and you have to be willing to put your best foot forward and try to overcome them along with the children. Being pragmatic, you know, you have to know what's practical in your classroom while also being creative and bringing newness to the class. So all of this is about staying in balance. So if you think about high energy, I'm sure everyone can think of a time where there was someone in the classroom, they just had way too much energy. They were way too excited, way too intense. They just got the children all riled up and everything was crazy. And then you think about a really good teacher who really has a lot of passionate energy and has high energy, can be there and really diving in and following along with the kids, but she doesn't wind them up or make them crazy. She's just really there with them in the moment. So that's what we mean about high energy, and all of these things within balance, because you can go too far with them and have them backfire on you. So if, you know, thinking about early childhood, some of our formative memories are really made in the younger years. This is a picture of my daughter, Eve, earlier this winter going sledding, and she continues to talk about this. We were in Vail, traveling back from somewhere, and we stopped at this hill to do some sledding. And she must have run up and down that hill 25 times easy and had the best time. And she talked for days, she still talks about the bumps and the funny feeling in her tummy and how it was scary and exciting, and she still laughs about it. My hope is that this is a memory made when she was 5 years old, almost 6, that's going to last her a lifetime. And in the early childhood classroom, we may not be taking children out sledding, but this experience for her was about a specific activity that has parameters, but also being able to make her own experience with that. So sledding, you know, involves certain equipment, a sled, or in this case, 2 or 3, some snow clothes, some boots, and a pretty prescribed objective. You walk up a hill, you get on your sled, you slide down. But even within that parameters of what sledding looks like, she can have a blast. She can pick what side of the hill to be on, how far up to go, starting lower down, making a jump. She packed up some snow at one point to make a bump more significant so she could get some air and jump off of it. You can go with a friend and see what that feels like to sled in the same sled at the same time, or in 2 different sleds holding hands. A little risky, but also really fun. So that blend of, there are certain parameters with this activity, but then I can take it any way I want to take it, and I can do whatever I want to do with it. So that's where real memories are made, where we get to bring our own creativity into the experience. So I want you to think about 10 values that you have for childhood. What you feel is important for children to get out of childhood, to experience in childhood, to have a fulfilled childhood. And then I want you to think about, if a teacher values that, what would he or she do? So if a teacher values blank, then he or she would do blank. And then the same thing, if the teacher values that same blank, then he or she would not do these things. So my example is, if a teacher values independence, then she or he would give children opportunities to choose their own play materials and ensure that all materials are accessible in the classroom. That's if a teacher values independence. And then likewise, if a teacher values independence, then she or he would not keep materials out of the reach of children or do everything for children, such as put on their coats to go outside. So I'd love you to think about those 10, back here to the 10 values, and just plug them in to this, if he or she, or if this, then he or she would this, and if that, then he or she would not do that. And I want to leave you with this quote from Loris Malaguzzi. He is known as the father of the Reggio Emilia inspired philosophy. Reggio Emilia is a region in Italy where they have some exemplary early childhood classrooms. And we in the field really look to them as the shining star of the highest quality early education. So Loris says, teachers, like children and everyone else, feel the need to grow in their competencies. They want to transform experiences into thoughts, thoughts into reflections, and reflections into new thoughts and new actions. They also feel a need to make predictions, to try things out, and to interpret them. Teachers must learn to interpret ongoing processes rather than wait to evaluate results. So this really makes me think about starting the beginning of this 10-week journey together, and you're going to take your experiences and turn them into thoughts. And then you're going to take those thoughts and you're going to reflect on them. And then with those reflections, you get to go back and practice and have new thoughts and new actions. So that's my hope for you in this class as we travel these 10 weeks together. And so the last final thoughts I want to leave you with for this unit are, who are you in the lives of children? Who do you want to be in the lives of children? And how will you get yourself there? So I want you to think on those and go ahead and enjoy this week's activities, and I'll see you again soon.